What is long-term player development? It's important to appreciate that in all humans, by 6 to 8 years of age, they have a mature nervous system. The maturity of that nervous system from the physical pillar, or the physical point of view, means that they can learn skill. They can learn sport skills and they can learn movement skills. It's important that a broad base of movement skills are required to allow athletes to develop the specifics of the swing mechanics and skill levels that we would like them to have from both a PGA professional end and also a golf trained health professional end. The important thing is the process of long-term player development starts at that point and continues through with the same principles being adhered to 60 plus years of age as far as the golf athlete is concerned. It embodies the process of an ever-changing environment that the athlete is, particularly in the developing years after 6 years of age. So there are biological changes, cognitive changes, and psychosocial changes which are being borne by the young developing athlete. The principles, however, about developing fundamental movement skills are the same for our older athletes. Once we've reached optimal levels of movement development and if you like, fundamental sport skill development, our goal is to try and maintain it. So principles of maintenance become more important as the athletes move through their 20s, 30s and even into their 40s with our elite tour players. It's very important that in application of any of the principles related to long-term player development that you understand the demands of the sport and the specificity that the age group that you are dealing with has when it comes to playing golf. So they need to understand the speeds of movement that are required, the body segment interactions that are required, but they also need to understand and know the demands of the individual player, what they can actually do at this particular point in time. So assessments of the individual players become very important to place them on, if you like, a continuum of movement skill development. And that will vary widely between individuals based on their training histories and also on their developmental age. It's also very important for the practitioners who are applying physical interventions with a client or with a golfer that we in actual fact understand what the injury profile of golf dictates in terms of how we're going to train them. We won't go into that in this particular video, however, understanding what the areas are that are going to be loaded consistently in the golf swing become important in terms of biasing certain areas to make them more impregnable, if you like, to the physical demands and the repeated movement patterns that are required to actually swing the golf club effectively. We suggest that for all players that they have some form of objective assessment to see where they are on that continuum of fundamental movement skill development. This is important irrespective of age. Also, it's important to understand that this process embodies some key understandings. It needs to be that any physical interventions that are done are systematic and sequential. The process is going to take time. There are no easy fixes in terms of being able to change fundamental movement skill. It's a complex interaction between the PGA professional, the health professional with golf-specific training and the golfer in terms of allowing them to develop at the rate that they can, and then understanding that some of them will have limitations in the time frames that we are actually going to set for them. It's also important that it needs direction and purpose. It must be specific for the individual in front of you, and it must involve dedication by the particular athlete. You can't just do this sort of thing once a month and expect it to change. You are going to need to do it on a regular basis over a number of months to years for you to have developed the underlying physical ability to then swing the golf club efficiently. It's also important to understand that our thought process is that you need to do 100 things 1% better. So very rarely is there a situation with a player at any level where the one thing is going to make a massive difference to their playability under this physical pillar. It's also important that we actually bring to bear movement patterns that are not necessarily replicating the golf swing, but that are specific to some of the movement patterns that are required in the golf swing. Therefore, we can't have movements that are only in a straight line or only doing rotation, when it's important that we move side to side, forward and backwards, and rotate, and potentially even get our arms above our head. So in summary, TGA supports the placement of all golfers on a continuum of fundamental movement skill development through assessment of their physical competence. This allows for the progression and ultimately the maintenance of the optimal physical ability for all athletes. And that really is a reflection of everyone's understanding, as it should be, in terms of long-term player development.